Life is not against you. It's guiding you. The resistance you feel is not punishment. It's polishing. When things don't go your way, maybe the way was wrong. When people leave, maybe they've played their part. When doors close, maybe they were never meant to open. Instead of fighting the current, learn to flow with it. Resistance drains energy. Acceptance transforms it. Each day remind yourself of what you can and cannot control. You cannot control others. You cannot control outcomes. You cannot control the weather or the past or the opinion of the crowd. But you can control your thoughts, your actions, your focus, and your reaction. That is enough. That is everything. At the end of each day, reflect not on what went wrong, but on what you learned. The Stoics practiced this nightly. They examined their actions, forgave their mistakes, and planned to do better tomorrow. Self-mastery is built one reflection at a time. Peace is built one decision at a time. Let go of the illusions that bind you, Banki. The illusion of control, the illusion of perfection, the illusion of permanence. Everything changes. Everything ends. Everything begins again. Letting go does not mean losing. It means making room. Room for better things, clearer thoughts, truer love. The more you release, the lighter you become. Letting go is an act of trust. It says, I no longer need to hold what was because I believe in what will be. You cannot carry both faith and fear. One must be set down. Choose faith. Purpose gives shape to peace. A Stoic does not live aimlessly. They act with intention. They know that every moment, no matter how small, can serve something greater. Purpose is not about fame or fortune. It's about contribution. It's about aligning your actions with meaning. You don't have to change the world. You just have to live truthfully within it. When you act from purpose, even the smallest task becomes sacred. Washing dishes becomes mindfulness. Speaking kindly becomes philosophy in action. The Stoic's purpose is not to be admired, but to be aligned, to live as nature intended, with reason, virtue, and calm. The path of calm is not the path of withdrawal. It is the path of deliberate living. It is the decision to replace noise with depth, chaos with clarity, fear with faith. You do not need to shout to be powerful. You do not need to fight to be strong. You do not need to control to be secure. What you chase runs. What you embody arrives. When you move with quiet certainty, when your heart is steady and your actions are sincere, you stop forcing and start attracting. The universe responds to your energy, not your desperation. The calm mind is magnetic. It draws what belongs to it without strain. So stop running. Stop fighting. Stop trying to make life hurry to your rhythm. Instead, tune yourself to its rhythm. Flow with it. Trust it. Allow it to unfold. When you learn to walk calmly, life walks with you. When you stop demanding, life starts delivering. The Stoics understood that peace is not the absence of storms. It is the ability to remain steady within them. True mastery is not about control. It's about harmony. The person who controls nothing but themselves controls everything that matters. Breathe deeply. Act with integrity. Release what you cannot hold. Be still enough to hear the wisdom behind the noise, and you will find that the things you once chased will begin to move toward you, not because you forced them, but because you finally became ready to receive them. The calm path is not easy, but it is free. It is the art of being unmoved by chaos, unshaken by loss, and undefeated by time. It is the path of those who no longer seek to conquer the world, but to understand it. When you master yourself, the world changes shape around you. Chaos becomes order. Delay becomes timing. Pain becomes growth. You stop being at war with life and start dancing with it. So let this be your reminder. Peace is not something you find. It's something you practice. Power is not something you seize. It's something you build. Happiness is not something you chase. It's something you realize. The Stoic way is not about escaping the world, but about moving through it with grace. And when you finally learn to trust that what's meant for you will come, when you stop rushing, when you stop fearing, When you start simply being, you will discover that the universe has been waiting for your calm all along, because in stillness, everything flows. In peace, everything aligns. And when your mind is still, the universe moves for you. We live in a world that praises motion. The louder you move, the faster you push, the harder you chase, the more the world applauds you. You are told that if you just try harder, if you sacrifice more, if you never stop moving, you will finally become enough. Yet the more you chase, the further peace seems to run. The modern world has mistaken speed for progress and noise for purpose. But the ancients knew better. They understood that stillness is not stagnation. It is power contained. They understood that what you truly seek does not come through frantic effort, but through calm alignment. There comes a moment in life when you realize that chasing has never brought you peace. The job, the recognition, the approval, the relationship, each one promised to complete you, yet each left you wanting more. That endless hunger is not ambition, it is captivity. The Stoics saw this centuries ago. They saw how humans exhaust themselves trying to control what cannot be controlled and desire what cannot be possessed. Their solution was not apathy, but mastery, not passivity, but peace. They taught that freedom is not found in conquering the world, but in governing yourself. True power is quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself. It simply exists, steady, unmoved, unafraid. When you are calm, you can see clearly. When you are composed, you can act wisely. But when your mind is clouded by need, everything you touch trembles. The Stoic path begins not with ambition, but with awareness. Awareness that you are not the storm, you are the sky beyond it. Everything that passes through you is temporary. The anger, the fear, the excitement, the doubt. They come and go like seasons. You remain. Stillness is not weakness. It is resistance to chaos. It is saying, I will not be ruled by noise. I will not trade my peace for approval. I will not run from discomfort, nor be seduced by comfort. I will be here, grounded, deliberate, present. Every time you choose not to react, you strengthen your soul. Every time you stay silent when your ego wants to shout, you claim victory over yourself. That is what the Stoics meant by mastery. You can want what you want: success, love, beauty, peace. Desire is not the enemy. Desperation is. The difference is subtle but crucial. When you desire, you move from abundance. When you are desperate, you move from lack. Desire flows. Desperation grasps. One expands you, the other drains you. The more you clutch at your dreams, the more they slip through your fingers. The tighter you hold the outcome, the heavier your heart becomes. But when you release the need for control, you open yourself to possibility. You can take every step with purpose without demanding a specific result. You can plant every seed without forcing it to grow. The Stoic walks the path fully, yet lightly. They take action, but they release attachment. They say, I will give my best, but I will not let my peace depend on what happens. That is freedom. That is power. The universe responds not to your panic, but to your poise. The great paradox of life is that the more you need something, the harder it becomes to receive. Need creates resistance, and resistance blocks flow. When you relax into trust, you become magnetic. Opportunities begin to appear not because they were never there, but because you finally stopped blinding yourself with anxiety. The mind that is calm can see what the restless mind cannot. You do not attract peace by running toward it. You attract peace by becoming it. Acceptance is the highest form of intelligence. Life will not always bend to your plans. People will leave. Dreams will shift. Paths will close. But every ending hides a beginning in disguise. Every obstacle carries a message. Grow here, evolve here, see deeper here. When you stop fighting reality, you begin to understand it. When you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? You transform pain into progress. The Stoic does not deny emotion. They transform it. They understand that resistance multiplies suffering. If something hurts, let it hurt. but don't let it define you. If something fails, let it fail, but don't let it break you. Accept, adapt, advance. To fight what already is, that is madness. To flow with what is, that is mastery. You cannot always control the wind, but you can control the direction of your sail. That choice, to steer, not to struggle, is where your true freedom lives. You decide whether each moment will make you bitter or better. You decide whether rejection will harden you or humble you. You decide whether the unknown will terrify you or teach you. No one can take that authority from you unless you hand it to them. Stop waiting for others to validate your worth. Stop measuring yourself by what people think of you. Your peace should not depend on applause. Your purpose should not depend on approval. When you reclaim your emotional sovereignty, you stop being a puppet to circumstance. You become the author of your own experience. Look around at the world today. Everyone rushing, everyone posting, everyone comparing. People have confused movement with meaning. But motion without clarity is chaos. There is wisdom in waiting, in pausing, in letting things unfold. Strategic stillness is an act of courage. It means trusting your preparation, trusting your patience, and trusting that some things are not meant to happen yet. You do not pick fruit before it ripens. You do not force flowers to bloom in winter. You let nature take its time. So, too, you must let your life unfold at its proper pace. Stillness is not inaction. It is confidence that what you've done is enough for now. It is knowing that waiting is sometimes the most powerful form of action. Gratitude transforms the ordinary into the sacred. Most people look at what's missing and call it lack. The Stoic looks at what's present and calls it abundance. When you wake up grateful for the breath in your lungs, for the chance to live another day, you begin to vibrate with quiet joy. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring what's wrong. It means seeing what's right, even amid difficulty. The Stoic thanks life for the struggle as much as for the comfort. They know that adversity builds resilience and that hardship reveals hidden strength. Gratitude is not naive. It is grounded. It says, this pain is also a teacher. This loss is also a lesson. This moment, however imperfect, is still mine to live fully. Gratitude shifts your focus from scarcity to sufficiency, from anxiety to appreciation. It rewires your mind to see blessings where others see burdens. Your emotions are your servants, not your masters. They exist to inform you, not to imprison you. You are not your anger, nor your sadness, nor your fear. You are the awareness observing them. When emotion rises, pause. When anger burns, breathe. When despair whispers, listen without obeying. Emotional sovereignty means you no longer let temporary feelings make permanent decisions. The Stoic does not suppress emotion. They give it direction. They use anger to create change, not chaos. They use fear to build courage, not paralysis. They use pain to deepen wisdom, not self-pity. The power is not in never feeling, but in feeling consciously. When you choose your response instead of reacting blindly, you are free. In a world that worships excess, contentment is revolutionary. The Stoics taught that wealth is not about how much you possess, but how little you need. You can own everything and still feel poor if your heart is hungry for more. You can own nothing and feel rich if your spirit is full. Enough is a state of mind. You don't have to stop growing to feel complete. You simply have to stop believing that your worth depends on growth. Want more, but be at peace without it. Pursue goals, but never let them define you. The feeling you're chasing at the finish line, peace, fulfillment, joy, is available here in this moment. You simply have to stop believing that it only exists somewhere else. When you stop trying to become someone, you finally start being someone. Authenticity is the highest form of strength. When you pretend to be someone else, you betray yourself. When you speak what you do not believe, you create inner conflict. When you chase what others admire instead of what your soul desires, you lose direction. The Stoic lives aligned with truth. They don't perform for approval. They act from principle. They know that integrity will outlast popularity. Living authentically doesn't mean rejecting others. It means respecting yourself. It means making choices that reflect your values, even when no one is watching. The moment you stop pretending, life begins to align with who you really are. Impatience is a quiet form of arrogance. It says, "I know better than time." But life unfolds at its own pace. Everything you've ever received arrived exactly when it was meant to. Not too soon, not too late. The delays you curse are often the detours that save you. What feels like stagnation is often preparation. Trusting the rhythm of life is not laziness. It's wisdom. It's understanding that time is a sculptor shaping your soul into readiness. You cannot rush destiny any more than you can command the sun to rise. Do your part, then let go. Effort without trust becomes torment. Action followed by surrender becomes power. The Stoic walks through time with patience. They work diligently but without desperation. They plant seeds and leave the harvest to fate. They understand that life's intelligence exceeds their understanding. They trust that what is meant for them will come and what isn't will pass.